This is a story of a California princess. But wait, you say, there weren't any princesses in California. Just sit tight for the next 12 minutes and you may change your mind. She has everything a princess requires except the crown, which appears in this 1909 photo taken when she was 23. She's not just any princess, but a Spanish California princess posing here at an entrance to her family's Monterey estate, Casa Munras, draped in a richly embroidered Manila shawl, one of the several family garments that she would eventually bequeath to the Carmel mission for display in this museum. In 1961, towards the end of her life, she gifted this building. In addition to the albums containing the many pictures featured here, our princess gifted all the furnishings and memorabilia contained in these two rooms so that the visitors of the future could share the story of her ancestors and their ties to the California mission churches, especially to this one, San Carlos Borromeo del Rio Carmelo, founded by the Mallorcan priest Father Junipero Serra in 1771. Following the Spanish tradition of adding ancestral surnames, we can identify our princess as Maria Antonia Field Danglada Munras Manzanelli Ponce de Leon y Dávalos. So who was this California princess, more familiarly known as Maria Antonia Field? She was a lifelong dog lover, a talented musician, a poet and historian of Spanish California, an avid traveler, and seeker of the European roots of her family and of her Catholic faith. Hosted by nobility in Spain, Germany, and Italy, she also enjoyed being hostess to Spanish grandees on her home turf. A devoted Catholic from childhood, she was the principal patron of the restoration of the Carmel Mission Complex, under the capable hand and nearly 50-year-long supervision of her good friend, Harry Downey. Finally, she was the recipient of something more precious to her than a crown, the Order of Isabel la Católica, a peerage awarded in 1931 by King Alfonso XIII of Spain in recognition of her efforts to preserve California's Spanish heritage. The story of this daughter of Monterey, who looked and lived like a princess, takes us back to the early days of Spanish friars and Mexican soldier settlers. By the standards of its time and place, the house where our princess was born and raised was certainly palatial. It was in 1822 that her great-grandfather, Esteban Munras, began building this elegant townhome for his Mexican-born bride, Catalina Manzanelli. Don Esteban's home had a European flair attributed to his Barcelona upbringing and his considerable talent as an artist. In 1822, the Carmel Mission Complex was 4 decades old and at the peak of its development. Its 15-year-old stone church is the last and grandest in the sequence of 7 churches on this site. It overlooked the Padres' quarters, kitchen garden, orchard, and large quadrangle for food production, storage, and handicrafts, as well as adjacent housing for Indian converts. In 1817, when merchant trader Esteban Munras first arrived at Monterey via Chile and Peru, he would have enjoyed the legendary hospitality of the Franciscan friars at Carmel Mission while arranging to trade his merchandise for hides and tallow from the huge herds of cattle roaming the vast mission lands. Monterey, then capital of Baja and Alta California, was the most remote and underdeveloped region of the far-flung Spanish Empire. The center of community life at that time was the Presidio, or military garrison, and in particular, San Carlos Church, also called the Royal Presidio Chapel, an easy stroll from the 3-acre property that Don Esteban acquired after he returned in 1820 to make his permanent home in Monterey. His request for Catalina's hand would have been addressed to her stepfather, Presidio Captain Dr. Manuel Quijano. On that occasion, the good doctor may well have been seated in the very same chair you see here. In 1822, Alta Californians learned that Mexico had won its independence from Spain the year before. Custom House soon became the new center of life in the little town, now the authorized California port for worldwide commerce. Don Esteban and Doña Catalina raised 6 children in the Monterey home they affectionately called La Granja, or the farm, which had a separate wing for servants and for storage of Don Esteban's merchandise and produce from the family ranchos, yet still offered huge expanses for frolicking children and dogs. Their eldest child, Concepcion, married Dr. William McKee, a physician from Pennsylvania, and built a Victorian cottage on the family compound, as did Dolores, the youngest of this second generation, who married Don Alonso Allen, a handsome grandson of a Mexican-born Presidio soldier and his Monterey-born wife.